we've done is we've decided we want a box call. But which one do we buy? There's a bunch of different box calls to pick from. The box cutter, the wet box, the chick magnet, the battleship heartbreaker. I can tell you right now, the Heartbreaker series of calls that Primos makes, I love them. I really do. But I like the smaller versions. This big one is super, super loud. I guess if you're hunting in a place where it's really, really windy a lot, you would be willing to carry that call around. I can tell you right now, with what we film and all the other stuff we're carrying, you won't see me carrying that one. Typically, I would say it's kind of 50-50 for me. This one seems to be one that I really, really like. I like the wet box. The reason is we live in Montana. In Montana, our spring is known to have not rain, but snow. We get a lot of snow in the evenings, and then what will happen is you go out in the morning, it's not snowing, it's clear, but we've got snow in the trees, or we get a good frost, and then that frost turns into rain as it starts to warm up, starts dripping off of the trees. Next thing you know, you got a box call that's wet. So keep in mind that box calls, water is an issue with them, but not with the wet box call. I mentioned before, the surface is already treated, never put chalk on this thing. And I really like the sound. So on a box call, when you're trying to get that great note out of your box call, all you have to do is drag that striker across there. Now you'll see I'm running this call, I guess you would say straight on to the call, and I can pull the striker toward me or push it away. It works on both sides. Now keep in mind that you can flip this call over. There's a number of ways. Now when you do that, I tend to split my fingers. And that way I have just the right amount of pressure on the call. Now the place where a lot of people make mistakes on box calls is what they do is they pick up the call. And when you do that, you're going to get the wood sound. If you're picking the striker up, you're going... That's me dragging the striker and lifting it and dragging it again. That's not right. You want to make sure you're not doing that. You don't ever really want to hear any of that. That's got a wood sound to it. So what you do is you leave the striker on there. The call doesn't make any sound when it goes, it makes sound going one way, but it doesn't make sound going back the other. Now the other thing is you're going to hear a high and a low note. You want both of those. If you're constantly getting the... That's just a solid high note. I don't want that. I want the high and low of the yelp of a turkey. Here, now you can hear it getting across both. That tells you when you're going far enough with the striker. So that's how you make a yelp on a box call. You just drag it across there. When you want to cut on a box call, which is a little more excited sound from a turkey, cutting and clucking are very, very similar. You got to be careful on what sound you're telling a turkey because they mean something totally different. Cutting sound is more excited, more aggravated. A lot of times what you'll have is when you're out there yelping at a turkey and a hen hears you, she will come back with... She'll start cutting, and what she's saying is, I hear you, where are you? Show yourself, I'm trying to find you. As opposed to clucks are simply, you'll hear that they're just a few tenths of a second longer, but there's not as much excitement, there's not as much sharpness to the call. Make sure that you understand what you're saying to that turkey when you say it. So clucks are, when you mix those clucks in with yelps, okay, or if you want to cut at a turkey. Now the great thing about cutting at turkeys is it can be used as a locator call a lot of times. When you're trying to get turkeys that aren't gobbling for whatever reason in the middle of the day, very nice sounding call. Now what you're going to notice is that I've placed my thumb up on top of the call, and that's what's holding. I push down with my thumb so that that striker is not allowed to go anywhere, so that when I tap it with my fingers, it won't allow the striker to move, and therefore it makes the cutting sound. Because if you didn't and you went, you'd have to bring it back every time. So this way is what you do is place your finger on there, and that's how we make the cutting sound. Clucks, I simply just drag the striker kind of quickly and lift it a little bit. Makes sense? Now, we actually have one here that is made for cutting. And what they did here was they cut a groove out of the side of the box. So that now this call only works one way, but the fortunate thing is they sell it in a left-handed and a right-handed model. So if you're right-handed, then, and now keep in mind, if you're right-handed, order the right-handed one means you're going to run the right-handed portion of the call is going to be the striking motion, where a left-handed person would hold it with their left hand or hold it with their right hand and move the striking motion with their left hand. Now they've given you a place to put your thumb so that you can't go wrong. Don't use the thumb for anything when you're making yelps. But when you want to make the cuts, now you put your thumb in that little hole. Very nice sounding call. Handy little call. I really like the box cutter. But I have to say, the new one that has come out, this one just came out this year. I was very skeptical about this call simply because I just thought box calls are box calls. There's so many of them out there now. How many can you reproduce? This one's called the Chick Magnet. Now it gets its name because of the magnet that comes with the call. And when you see this, this is pretty extraordinary. At least it turned me into a believer. That sound right there is that magnet being sucked down on there. There's a magnet on the box right here, and then there's a magnet on each striker, and it comes with two strikers. This one being the more coarse one, and this one being the little softer, sweeter sound, so to speak. Okay, both of them have the magnet right here. Very strong magnet. Now I can put it on there the right way, is like I just did there, where I just slide it on there and you don't make that sound. You don't want to do that in the woods. Show you how strong the magnet is. Through that piece of wood, this striker will stick to it too. So you got both of them and they'll stay on there. That comes with a little carrying sleeve, plastic sleeve that you can slide the separate striker, the paddle into that if you don't want to carry it. I found that most of the time this year when we were carrying it, we were using the more coarse one out here in Montana, Idaho, and Nebraska. Listen to the sound of this call. I said at the beginning I was a little skeptical, didn't know if maybe it was just another box call, but the sound that this call reproduces is when I went, wow, this is a really nice sounding box call. Very nice sound. Now, same thing, I slide my thumb up on there. So I said I was going to help you pick out a box call. Maybe what I've done is confused you even more, because I demonstrated 3 box calls there that I think all sound great. But if you live in a wet region like we do in Montana, you might want to look at something like the wet box call. Because if you're in, I know for a fact in Washington, Idaho, they kind of get the same weather patterns that we do. You might lean toward that call just because you don't have to worry about water at all. If you don't live in one of those areas and you just want that really, really nice sound, I would look at possibly the Chick Magnet or the box cutter. The Chick Magnet, the great thing about the Chick Magnet is you're getting 2 box calls for 1. Price of it is about the same as these other 2, but you get 2 different strikers for it. So you're getting more for your money that way. So you might look at it as that itself. And I didn't demonstrate this. This is the sweeter sounding sound. Not quite as much rasp in that call. Man, it really sounds good though. So if you're looking for a box call, you're not sure. Wet area, wet box call. Doesn't matter about weather, box cutter, or the chick magnet. There's a couple tips on maybe helping you pick out which box call you should try. Good luck to you. Thanks for watching Above the Rest Outdoors.